There was never just one, huh? Well, this movie made me wish that Jason Bourne was the only one. Okay guys, I'm just gonna get the good out of the way right now because I have a lot to say about this movie. The only two good things that I can say that Bourne Legacy had, at least in my opinion, was that the acting all around was solid, especially between Jeremy Renner, Edward Norton, and Rachel Weisz. Very solid acting. They always do a good job in all the movies they do. And the very small amount of action that is actually done in this movie is decent first time, but highly inferior to anything you have seen in the Bourne trilogy so far. That's it about the good. Now, before I even get into my review, I will say this. I went into this movie completely unprepared for what I saw. I was not aware that Matt Damon did not want to be a part of this and that he was completely against the direction that they wanted to go. I was completely unaware of it because as this movie was playing out, I didn't quite get that Bourne feeling. But I'll just get into the plot. Basically, this movie takes place, I don't know, I guess some of it takes place during the Bourne trilogy and then a good part of it takes place during the Bourne Ultimatum, and then I guess maybe some of it takes place afterwards. I'm really not sure. It was completely just, it was kind of a messy, just kind of a messy storyline. I'm not even sure what to call this, if it's a sequel or a prequel or a spin-off, maybe a combination of the three. Anyway, Jeremy Renner's character plays another type agent like Jason Bourne, except he's from another program. And when Jason Bourne somehow exposes the truth about his program, Edward Norton's character decides that he's going to kill practically everybody who knew about any of these projects. Jeremy Renner, of course, his character survives and catches up with this doctor played by Rachel Weisz. And they pretty much run from place to place, being chased by a whole bunch of guys with guns and that trying to get a hold of some pills which will make him to a super soldier. Now, I will tell you this is, I don't want to say it's a bad film, but if you were expecting a movie that was full of action, or at least a well-balanced action between, you know, a very compelling storyline, plot, and action that actually makes you feel suspense and tension, this is definitely not it. I didn't want to believe what I had heard from another reviewer, but he was absolutely right when he said that there was no more than 10 minutes worth of action in this 2-hour film. I'll tell you my little experience about when I saw this movie. I saw this movie yesterday, and I actually saw it with a friend of mine who's here, and I literally was so bored of this film that I actually fell asleep for 30 minutes. I fell asleep for 30 minutes in a 2-hour film, and when I actually woke up and actually came out of my little nap, I actually looked at my friend and asked him quietly if I had missed anything, like what happened while I was sleeping, and he basically said, oh, they've really just been talking and Edward Norton's just been looking at some monitors. That's really it. And I'm like, that's it? I think the problem that this movie has is that it does everything it can to jam in Jason Bourne as much as it can without actually having to show him actually interacting in this world. So it kind of feels like, well, let's make a Jason Bourne film without Jason Bourne. So it's just a plain excuse of trying to make a sequel to a trilogy that was never needed, and this feels like a cheap cash-in. Now, again, I don't necessarily think this is a bad film, but if they want to continue going in the direction they want for this next trilogy, it is never going to work if Matt Damon does not return as Jason Bourne. I do not believe that following a story on Jeremy Renner's character is going to work in a Bourne franchise, because then it's no longer Bourne's story anymore. So what would be the point of even having that name? So, anyway, trust me, if you were expecting a true Bourne film, this isn't it, and you're better off just sticking with the original trilogy and pretending that this movie doesn't exist. Again, I don't think it's a bad film, but it is completely misleading. The trailers will misdirect you. What you see and hear from that trailer is absolutely nothing that you think is going to happen in this film, which is why I am just very upset, and I'm afraid I have to give the Bourne Legacy a 4 out of 10. This is if I ever do a top 10 most disappointing films of 2012, this may be number 1 or number 2. One of the two for sure. If you like this review, please like, comment down below, and subscribe up top to keep track of me and my future videos. And like always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.